Well, Robert Greenhill is the Managing Director of the World Economic Forum, and he joins me now. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. If we can begin with the US, just how significant is it for the world economy that US competitiveness is slipping, and what does that say about the potential for a double dip in the United States?
Well, it's actually very important in the sense that competitiveness is a sign of what growth may be like in the future. I don't think we'll have an impact on whether or not there's a double dip, but it certainly is a worrying sign in terms of American growth in the medium term if the issues aren't addressed.
And let's look at Singapore. So we've got Singapore, Switzerland and Sweden here. What do they all share in common apart from beginning with S?
Well, and so in a sense it's small is beautiful. You don't need to be big to be great in the world's economy today. They probably have three things, Andrea. One is they have very sophisticated businesses, very outward looking. Secondly, they have strong and effective government institutions that are trusted. Thirdly, they actually have a social cohesion. They have communities where everybody gets a good education, everybody has a chance to participate fully in the workforce in a very meritocratic way. And it's that combination that seems to be the special sauce for those three.
Now, when we look at emerging nations, they are coming up relatively quickly. Are they looking at these top countries, the Swedens and the Singapores, and trying to take some of their best practice?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of them are trying to do exactly these same things. And if we look at China, for example, it's literally halved the gap in competitiveness vis-a-vis the United States in the last 6 years alone. And if we look at a Taiwan or Hong Kong, part of the greater China, they're actually at 11th and 13th place already. So they've certainly moved up over the years.
Now, talk me through the link between public debt and competitiveness.
Well, it depends on what the debt's used for. It's just like for an individual. If you borrow money to do something that could actually increase your income in the future, that can be very productive. If you borrow money to spend it on something that doesn't actually really count as investment, then it's a problem. Some countries have actually got into debt for reasons that would improve their competitiveness. Others, like Greece, for example, who have high debts and low competitiveness, are in a really difficult situation.
So when we look at the current austerity measures that are coming across Europe and indeed may well also be biting in the US in the not too distant future, does that necessarily have to cut competitiveness?
It depends how it's done. Is the burden shared in such a way that there's still a sense of social cohesion and trust between different partners in the economy? And are there still the investments being made in key things such as education, health, and core infrastructure? If those are maintained while the budgets are being balanced, then in fact it can improve competitiveness over time.
Okay, so your recommendations then are really that while you may have to cut, you can't cut those key services.
Do it thoughtfully and carefully. Germany is actually an example of a country over the last 10 years has done some fairly important structural reforms well. And in fact, the hidden good news in this report is that Europe's actually looking quite strong. 7 of the top 10 economies are from Europe. And when you look at the weaker ones, they're actually being forced by the present Eurozone crisis to address their challenges.
So is it inevitable that the emerging markets are going to just keep on going and the US is going to keep on falling, or do you think this can be turned around?
Well, it's hopefully inevitable that the emerging markets will continue to perform better, and that's good for the billions of people who live there, and it's good for us who trade with them. It's not inevitable that the United States or certain European states decline. With the right policy measures, with the right leadership by the politicians, that can be turned around.
Okay. Robert Greenhill from the World Economic Forum, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Real pleasure. Thank you.